today we need a lot of lava. But before we get into the whys of that, let me show you what I've done. Our refined storage is now pretty much set up for us and is connected to the main storage grid here. And we also have some of the thermal series machines now connected here as well, which will automatically craft anything that we tell them to. Our storage now goes all the way to the back, and in fact we have quite a lot more of it here. And just behind all of that, we have up our new sifting mechanisms. It's pretty much the same setup as we've had before. We have some cobble generators under the floor producing us our cobblestone. The cobblestone is then compacted and crushed down into some gravel, of which we can then sift through that gravel into some goodies, or pass it through to make some sand, and then pass it through again to make some dust, all of which are then also sifted down for even more goodies. And all of the sifted through goodies are then sent through some cables which go over to our main storage here. So we are definitely not going to run out of resources anytime soon. While I was creating all of this, I required a lot of slime balls in order to make some processor bindings, and I was able to find myself a slime ball recipe, which is a bit convoluted, but does allow us now to start producing our own slime balls. We have 31 of them in stock at the moment, but if I set a task to create a whole stack of them, you can see all of the items that will go towards it here. But I will start that off, and if I come through to our create machine room, we have up here a millstone which is taking wheat and producing some wheat powder from that, or wheat flour as it's also known as. That wheat flour is then combined with some water to make some dough, of which we do require the fluid encapsulator to start filling up some buckets of water to do that. And from the dough, what we then need to do is basically colour it with some lime dye, which will require us smelting down some cactus into green paste from our hopper botany pot system here, and combining it with some white dye from some bone meal to make the lime dye, which then all combines together to create our slime balls. On the topic of interesting recipes, that then brings us on to the whys of why we need so much lava here today. Because I have found a recipe here to create some ender pearls for us through the use of a heavy sieve by sifting through some compressed crushed end stone. And in order for us to get some crushed end stone, we will require end stone, of course. And we can make our own end stone here in a barrel by combining lava alongside glowstone dust. So there's the first use of lava that we will require here today. Another interesting recipe that I've come across is for netherite scraps, which again requires the use of a heavy sieve to sift through some compressed crushed netherrack. With crushed netherrack being created in pretty much the same way as the crushed end stone, but using lava in a barrel alongside netherrack. So let's start generating some lava then, which will require the use of a magma crucible, and I'm just going to clear a little space here at the moment to set it down. Now if I get myself out a few importers alongside some exporters and some cable, I can then hook up the magma crucible here to our main storage grid, and inside the exporter, let's start exporting over some cobblestone, and we will set the machine to start inputting that and outputting it from the bottom. We will need some power, of course, so I will connect that there up to the magma crucible, and I believe this thing has already been augmented here with a resonant component, so soon we should start seeing some cobblestone come into this. If I actually connected it up right. Perfect. Now, if I get myself out a few of these flux linkage amplifiers and upgrade this a bit more, the magma crucible will operate a bit faster and produce us a bit more lava a bit more quicker. But that then moves us on to the next problem that we're going to have, and that is the power consumption of this thing. Just one of these magma crucibles that are set up at the moment is taking over nearly 1300 RF per tick, and I'm pretty sure that our system here is only producing 3,000 or 4,000 RF per tick. So if we are wanting more magma crucibles here in order to make a lot of these new items, we are going to need to upgrade our power a little bit. And also in the importer, if I set that to fluids, that will allow the lava to start coming out and start coming into our fluid grid here. So our lava should start increasing, which it is here, albeit quite slowly, but we'll work on that. For now though, I think it's about time that we start upgrading our power grid here, starting off with our thermoelectric generators, of which I believe that these are the main contributor to the power in our network, producing us nearly 3.2 kiloflux per tick. And actually, because we now have a blast chiller, we can make some packed ice, which I think is more suitable than water here. So if I can't go into the crafting grid at the moment because we are outside of transmitter range, but if I come back to our main crafting grid here, I can search for some blue ice, which our system has already made us some, and in fact we have enough here to make another stack of it, so I'll let that do that. And whilst it starts producing us some ice and then slowly turning it into some blue ice, what I now need to do is upgrade our wireless transmitter here to have a larger range, and we are going to do that through the use of some range upgrades, which will require some ender pearls for it. That's okay though, there's a pattern for it. Well, here's a good test then in order to see if we can get some ender pearls. So I'm going to take out the stone barrel and just place it there at the moment. And then I'll place 2 exporters onto that and an importer on the bottom of it. In the top exporter here, let's start inputting some glowstone dust, and on the side exporter we will start exporting in some lava then from the fluid grid, and that is producing us our end stone there. Okay, excellent. Really slow, but at least we are getting some end stone out. So what I'm going to do with it is just place it into some compacting drawers, and that will slowly build up inside the drawers here till eventually we get out some compressed end stone. And with the compressed end stone, if we put it into the compressed hammer, we can get out our crushed end stone. So I'm going to set a pattern for that. Then we will come to the auto hammer and input it into there. And I believe that we can now produce our own crushed end stone here. Sure, go ahead with that. It was normal end stone, not compressed end stone, but that is now inside the auto hammer here and is being crushed for us. And if I take the crushed end stone and we input it into the compacting drawers, I can take out a block of the compressed crushed end stone, and with it, if we put it into the auto heavy sieve, that will slowly start to sift it down. And it's going to be a very small chance of getting an ender pearl out, which we didn't get anything there unfortunately. But we can just wait on getting a few more end stone here actually, and see if we can get any out. In the meantime, how is our blue ice production coming? Slowly. Everything is just very slowly here today. Well, I have a stack of blue ice, so let's carefully come around and upgrade all of the water to it without electrocuting ourselves. And quite fortunately, we had just enough blue ice there to fill up all of the water spots. And I think we have made an improvement to the amount of energy that we can now produce from here. A little bit by the looks of it, from 3.2 to 3.5. Still not enough though. But I do have another idea as to how we can produce some more energy, which is our second reason for requiring a lot of lava, because I can make some magmatic dynamos which produce RF with some lava. And these dynamos are pretty simple to make. So simple in fact, I will create a pattern here for it and have our system make us some. I think we will get 4 of them being produced, and the machine knows how to make everything there, so in fact, here they come. And I am going to require a lot more magma crucibles here, producing us a lot more lava, but we are a bit tight for space here. So it's then quite fortunate that I have this elevator here that takes us down into a room that I've already prepared in advance. So let me very quickly then set up a little series of these magma crucibles here, and that's all looking not too bad to me then. So all we need to do is get some power into it and then hooking it all up just like that. Now, all of the crucibles here have not been augmented, so they will be very slow in producing their lava here. I will need to upgrade them though, which will require these resonant components, which will require some ender pearls that I'm still hoping to get from sifting through this compressed endstone. And we got 2 out from that batch there. Damn. Although I am going to use the ender pearls that we do currently have to make these range upgrades for our wireless network. Just so then whenever I do use my crafter elsewhere within our factory, I should always get access to the main grid no matter where we are. Well, I can access it from pretty much here. So, not the best, but not the worst. I have seen that the 10 crucibles that we have down there was too much for our overall power system here, and our basic storage is now empty. So we really need to get our power sorted here, and we might be able to do that through the use of these magmatic dynamos, although they really aren't generating us too much RF per tick. Yes, at the moment we are only generating 120 flux per tick. That is nowhere near good enough. But if I make myself a few auxiliary reaction chambers, which require silver gears, hardened glass, and signalum plates, I believe that these upgrades then should allow us to start generating some more RF per tick from the dynamos, which definitely seem to be the case there, so I will get our machine making me some of those. Although I will also need to teach the machine how to turn signalum ingots into the signalum plates through a multi-servo press, so we will stick that in the crafter just there, and that should be everything then in order for our machine to make me those parts. Let's double check. It seems to be. Well, I have a few more of these upgrades then, so let's give every one of them 3 each. And from those upgrades alone, we are now producing 160 RF per tick from all of the dynamos, meaning that we're getting out 640 from this, which is still not great, but that's why we're going to then put in these resonant components, and we will see how that upgrades things. And that's a lot more like it, over 2500 RF per tick. The only issue now is that we don't have enough lava going into those dynamos, so we really need these to start producing us some more. I told you we needed a lot of lava today, and I really wasn't kidding. Well, I had to revisit the old drawing board again for this, but we now do finally have our lava. The original plan of getting lava from the magma crucibles and then feeding the magnetic dynamos with them did work in principle, but the main issue was that the magnetic dynamos were pretty much just powering on just to feed the magma crucibles. So we weren't getting out any spare energy into the network, everything that we were creating was just going back to feed the magma crucibles, and as nice as that was, it was very pointless. So the main issue that we then had to tackle was supplying the system with its own source of lava without having to use the magma crucibles, which we have managed to do through the use of some ender tanks. Basically, the way this system works is that we have an ender tank set up here within the nether, just above some lava that's underneath. And through the use of some create hose pulleys, we are able to pull up some lava from the river underneath us, and then just simply feed it into the ender tank, which then crosses dimension back into our stone cave, and that's how we get our infinite lava. The hose pulleys here are operated through the use of an encased fan, which basically takes some air out from the magma block or some heat out from the magma block and powers some cogwheels to then power it all on. And the way this setup works is because we are on top of a lava river that has so many lava blocks within it, it technically counts as an infinite source of lava. So we are never going to run out of it basically. But the lava is coming through nice and strong and is then flowing through into our magmatic dynamos here, and I believe there is 10 of them in total, each producing 640 RF per tick, meaning that our network is getting out an additional 6.4 kiloflux. So that's nice and handy for us, and that will definitely take care of our power issues for the next little while. We now also have this little setup all working for us, and we are producing crushed netherrack from this side, and our end stone from the other side, thanks to all of that lava. And as we know, if we sift through some of this crushed end stone, we can sometimes get out some ender pearls just like that, and if we take that crushed netherrack and compress it, then sift through that, I'm also hoping that we will eventually also be able to start getting out some netherite scraps. Just like that actually. Perfect. Well, my plans didn't work out exactly the way I thought they were going to today, but we still have ended up with quite a lot of lovely lava.